because it was a good article that showed the depths of depravity of that fucking company. Um, you know, because it's good to have evidence when you say something. You know, you don't want to say something with unfounded evidence. You want to have um, evidence in hand when you
Something
say
clear
something.
and precise.
You know, it's
I was
like,
saying something clear and precise, right?
well, yeah, it's like if someone was making an informative essay and they had no sources, just their opinion, you'd give them an F because that wasn't the point of the informative essay. You need to have sources that back up what you said.
Yeah.
Anyway, there we are, folks. We're live with another episode of BS Busters. We're starting it with the lady first, then the gentleman, and then we'll dive into these stories. So I guess we're going to start with Jewel first.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, to the BS Busters Midweek Podcast. I am Joy Moonstar, and another week, another pile to clean up.
I guess.
This is Kenoshi Abominito here. Glad to be on another one of these BS Busters.
Yeah, this is Mr. Red Fox. BS Busters is back, and let's get into it. So we don't have a huge amount of topics. It's a little bit smaller than usual. Normally we have 5 topics. Today we have 4. So
I was about to say, aren't we running a little thin here?
yeah, but I mean, we also have free topic where you guys bring up something you want to discuss, something that's been on your mind that hasn't really been touched upon. So we have bad games from good developers, great platformers of the past, complacency in gaming, and our 4th topic is going to be the Zynga acquisition by Rockstar. Take-Two, and how that just shows the priorities of Take-Two. In comparison to how much money they spent to have a remake, the quote-unquote definitive edition of arguably some of the most important open-world sandbox games of modern gaming. It just tells you their priorities. So with that being said, and then we of course we have Unpopular Opinion. So let's start with the first topic. Bad games from good developers. All of us have certain developers we love to give accolades to. We're like, yes, these are great developers, etc., etc. But every once in a while, these same developers do some stuff where it's like, man, y'all shat the bed on that one. So
I'll make an example for this one, and it's probably something that's a bit controversial, but kind of obvious too.
All right.
Sega with Sonic 06.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could this entire section could just be Sega because there's a ton of Sega games where Sega was like, y'all made this. Someone went into a room and played a build of this game and said, yeah, this is great. Ship it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, Sonic 06 is their magnum opus of, we approve this, and it's trash.
No, there's more than that. There's
I thought it was their magnum opus of trash.
No, there's more games than that. There's Sonic Boom. There's those Sonic Wii games. There's
really?
Well, I mean, because some people like hardcore Sonic fans didn't like those games. There's I mean, I would argue and say I
honestly will question you on those two, but at least if anything, I will not question you on Sonic Boom.
I would argue and say, I mean, this is just me as someone who's not really like I'm not really biased because to me, I've never thought of Sega as being a great game game developer. Like, I think I
consider them one of the game companies that were good for the time of their arrival, at least.
Yeah, I mean that's fair, but to me, Sega never really made great games. Like, I think a lot of their games, I think a lot of their arcade games were great, because they were arcades first anyway. That was their wheelhouse. I think that a lot of their home console games were just kind of. I think like for every Streets of Rage or Streets of Rage 2, you had games that were just kind of trash that people liked because that's what they had on the system. Um, like, I mean, because if you compare, like, the issue with Sega is if you compare what they were competing against, like Eternal Champions, like a lot of Sega fans think that that's like a great first party answer to Street Fighter and uh, Mortal Kombat. But then you look at their competition, which is Nintendo with Killer Instinct. And on a technical level, Killer Instinct is a better made fighting game than Eternal Champions. It's just it's better designed, it plays better, the music is better. So it's just one of those things where it's like I'm kind of like a lot of the games that Sega made, just to me as someone who's not a Sega fan, which means I don't have a personal stake in saying that Sega is great. So like I can take a step back and say, yeah, a lot of these games aren't that good. Y'all like them because that's what you had. So yeah, like a lot of the 3D Sega games, 3D Sonic games, I think like the vast majority of them are mediocre at best. There are a few of them that are great, and the reason that I like them, I like some of the 3D Sonic games, is because they were just different from the other shit that they were making. Like I know a lot of people don't like Shadow the Hedgehog, but it was different than Sonic Heroes, which felt like which I didn't like.
No, I will fight you for that one. Shadow the Hedgehog was a bad game for how it actually played out. At least Sonic Heroes gave you.
It was doing something different. It was doing something different. It was doing something different.
It had decent ideas. It just wasn't well. They just weren't well.
Like because here's the thing: if we stick with the quote unquote traditional 3D Sonic games, I guarantee like the traditional 3D Sonic games break down into they have three different types of levels. Okay, you have levels where you're running away from something. You have levels where you're running towards something. And then you have levels that are kind of open world, but it's like really fucking clunky. And that's just like, I mean, like, and this is level design that they started in Sonic Adventure. It continued in Sonic Adventure 2. Like, there's no variety in how they make their 3D open world levels.
What do people will want more in a sense?
That's the
Sonic
thing.
Adventure 3.
That's the thing.
Not Shadow, so screw that.
You keep on see. Here's the thing, Joel.
Yeah, you're gonna say I'm gonna be biased, and then I can hear what else you're gonna say, and say that Shadow the Hedgehog is different for this reason, and it's supposed to go against the formula.
Well, this is
supposed to be a good thing.
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying that it was very different from the usual formula, and had they refined it, could have been great. Like having a Sonic game that played completely differently from traditional Sonic games could have been awesome. I mean, we've seen other franchises that normally have a very static way of building their game, and then there being a spin-off that does things completely differently that works. For example, you have Metal Gear Solid.
Unleashed worked. Shadow didn't.
Can I finish before you cut me off? Thank you. So you have something like Metal Gear Solid, the spinoff with Raiden, where he's like a ninja, and it's like more of a action slasher thing. A lot of people like that game. That's a nice spinoff, which is different from the normal kind of gameplay they have in the more traditional Metal Gear Solid games. Which, I mean, personally, like, I mean, I'm not like a huge Metal Gear fan. I don't really, I'm not like, I like the original Metal Gears on the MSX, like the first two that were ironically made by Hideo Kojima. Like once it went 3D, I kind of wasn't that into it. But having played the Metal Gear spinoff with Raiden, where it's like a hack and slasher made by Platinum, it's a legitimately good game, and it's a completely different gameplay feel from the traditional Metal Gear Solid. Now, had Sega actually gone all the way and said, "Hey, we're gonna take we're gonna do Shadow the Hedgehog, and it's a different thing. It's in the future. He's got like vehicles and guns and shit, but we're gonna go all the way and make it play completely differently from the mainline 3D Sonic the Hedgehogs. Could have been great. There's some good ideas in there, not well executed because, like I said, Sega's not a great developer in my opinion. But some people love them, you know. But some people love them. I am not one of those people. Like I said, I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm taking a step back. But for those who do, they like a lot of hardcore Sega fans don't like Shadow the Hedgehog. I kind of liked it. I like well, I shouldn't say I liked it. I like the ideas that are in there. I don't like the execution. Like I like that they were like, okay, so because like in like the conceptualization of Shadow is that they wanted to create a character who was going to be like hardcore for the kids. Like how the reason Sonic took off was because they contrasted him with Mario. Like it was the start of the Attitude Era for mascots and shit. Well, they were trying to do the same thing with Shadow the Hedgehog, but how can you go more hardcore than Sonic? Well, Sonic compared to Mario has a lot of attitude, but Shadow compared to Sonic has way more attitude than Sonic. Sonic's big thing is that he goes around telling people, "Hey, you're moving too slow, and I can run real fast." Shadow's like, "Yeah, I'm not going to do all that. I'm just going to pull out a gun and blow your ass away." Which I thought was hilarious. Sonic's like, "Hey, I've got these shoes with cleats. Aren't I badass?" Shadow's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna run your ass down on my motorcycle." He can also run faster than Sonic. I'm like, he's like basically he's the Vegeta to Sonic the Hedgehog's Goku. Except, I hate Vegeta in Dragon Ball, but Shadow is more interesting than Sonic.
I will say that I like both of them, but if anything, Shadow was replacing Knuckles, and I felt kind of off.
You felt betrayed by that, even though Knuckles kind of sucks in the games.
I said that I felt a little bit betrayed because Sonic, Knuckles, there's kind of opposites, and then we get Shadow, and then we get more characters trying to one up each other, and we end up with all that cast of characters that probably make no sense.
What, you weren't a fan of Cream and Cheese and the damn gecko and the flying squirrel and the octopus, the squid?
I was saying that if anything, they should have kept their eyes on the prize and not add so many characters, which probably would convolute things and kind of make things too confusing in a sense.
What, you didn't like that bee in Chaotix?
Oh, if anything, Team Chaos is one of my favorite Sonic songs. But if anything, I'm going to say this right now. The only character that I hate among the Sonic crew would be Big the Cat.
Really? You don't like Big the Cat? Oh well.
Yeah, I mean, come on. He's so left fielded.
Yeah, but that's what makes him a fun character, is that he's just so out of left field. It's like you have all these characters who are like...
This is how people felt when Shadow the Hedgehog came out, so thank you very much.
You have all these characters who are like the same, so fucking samey that it's ridiculous. And then it's like, you have Team Amy Rose with Amy, Cream, and Cheese, and then this big fat motherfucker who likes to go fishing. It's like, what? How'd you get here? I gotta fight Froggy. Whatever.
He's so off field.
That's hilarious to me. That's one of the only saving graces of Sonic Heroes, is that you can have a team with Big the Cat. Like I said, I am not a Sonic fan. I don't have any purist feeling about it. So, like, I'm looking at it, like, I look at it from an outsider looking in, because I don't really give a fuck about the Sonic franchise.
But really outside, if you ask me.
Like, I like some of the less popular games. Like, I like Sonic Unleashed because at least they broke up the monotonous of the normal formulaic, boring-ass 3D levels with beat-em-up stages. I like that. I like Shadow the Hedgehog. I like the concept behind Shadow the Hedgehog. I didn't like the execution. But yeah, I think that Sega, there's so many games from Sega where it's like, this could have been great if you guys hadn't fucked it up. Like the Golden Axe reboot, Beast Rider, could have been great, but they fucked it up. Because it's Sega, you know. It's more like when Sega doesn't fuck something up. It's surprising. It's like, oh, you didn't fuck this up. Okay. But anyway.
What about you two?
No. Kenoshi, do you have any bad games from good developers? You're like, man, this game could have been a lot better.
I would say the later games in the Paper Mario series. Games after
right.
Super Paper Mario.
Oh, and you mean intelligent system? I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I would say that once they went to, like, even though I defend Super Paper Mario, I would say that Super Paper Mario is not as good as the previous game in the series. And then they kind of just shat the bed with Sticker Star. Sticker Star was someone with chronic diarrhea and a sound sleeper getting in a nice bed with nice clean white sheets and being surprised they wake up where they shit the bed. Because Sticker Star is terrible. Like, people should have been embarrassed about that game. How bad that game was. Color Splash was better than Sticker Star, but like I said, Sticker Star is like a 0, and Color Splash is like a 50% out of 0. I got a 50. Yeah, that's. I mean, it's better than a 0, but a 50 is still an F. So, it's like. I mean, like a 0 is like you didn't turn in your paper. A 50 is like you got the paper, but you basically got an F anyway. Like, I mean, like if you went to your parents and said, yeah, I'm doing better in this class. I went from getting 0s to getting 50. Yeah, it's an improvement, but you still failed the class. For me, Sticker Star Color Splash was better. I will admit, on a technical level, it is better than Sticker Star, but that's damning with faint praise. And then you go from there to Origami King, which I put, like, depending on how I feel, some days I think that Origami King is better than Color Splash, but in other ways it's worse than Color Splash. So, maybe split the difference and say it's about on the same level. But, they haven't. Intelligent Systems hasn't made a Paper Mario game that's on the same level as their first two. So, they've kind of gone downhill. I'll tell you another Intelligent System IP that's kind of gone downhill for me. Fire Emblem.
This is probably one of those weird times I'm going to ask. How did they screw that up badly? Because the only way I'd say that you could get away with that would be the Fire Emblem that had so many versions that was ridiculous.
Yeah. When they went to, like, basically, okay, Fire Emblem Awakening is great. No one is ever going to say that Fire Emblem Awakening isn't great. The only flaw with that game is that it had some really aggressive microtransactions on the 3DS. And that wasn't cool. But you didn't even need them. They were like nice little asides. Now, when you go from Fire Emblem Awakening to the game they did after that, the one that had like 3 different versions and all of them retailing for like $50 a piece, fuck that franchise. And then it just got worse. They just kept on releasing more Fire Emblem, but it was like, it didn't feel like it was a labor of love. It felt like they were capitalizing on the brand now that Awakening did the hard work of making it more mainstream and accessible. And then they did Fire Emblem the Three Houses, which like they were over it, but another team made it, and it just didn't even really feel like a Fire Emblem game. I just was like, I'm done with this franchise. I think Fire Emblem was at its best when it was a niche franchise. Trying to make it more mainstream just kind of made it less interesting to me. And I think Nintendo got the message because they haven't done shit with Fire Emblem since. So maybe they too are like, yeah, we need to give this a break. Let it rest a little bit.
Though I make the joke that if Fire Emblem's resting, what's the chances we'll see F-Zero rise?
I mean, like I said, I like F-Zero, but I'm not like I don't love F-Zero. I think the first game had the right difficulty curve. I think every F-Zero after that has been too damn hard. I think the difficulty curve in later F-Zeros is just too damn high. Like F-Zero on the N64. The first track in the beginner cup, easy. After that first track, the game just gets impossible.
Amplified into difficulty.
The difficulty curve is like unnecessary. I can admire F-Zero GX for the technical prowess of that game is 480p and 60 frames smooth. No frame dips, which you need for a racing game. Like, if you're playing a racing game and the frame is dropping, especially something where, like, knowing when to hit the air brake, when to drift, when to use your boost, when to decelerate, when to accelerate. That's really important in an F-Zero game because if you fuck that up, you fuck up your chances because the game's so damn hard. On a technical level, F-Zero GX is one of the most well-made racing games of all time. And I stack that against modern racing games just in terms of the performance and stuff like that. Difficulty curve, that game is hard as balls. It's very difficult.
That's putting it politely, Red.
You know, I can appreciate the technical merits of something without liking it, and I can tell you right now, F-Zero GX, like the music, the technical prowess, even the gameplay, but that difficulty curve, it's not a fun game for me.
Yeah, and I was saying that that being polite with how difficult it is, I think you're being too nice about it. It's able to break your orbs and make you cry in joy and pain about it.
No, there's no joy. There's no joy. It's a very difficult game. The difficulty curve in that game is too high.
At least that is if you're into hard gameplay.
And then you go to F-Zero GP, which is on the Game Boy Advance. That game was okay. It felt like a reimagining of F-Zero from the SNES era, which I'm okay with because I prefer that. That's my favorite F-Zero. And the difficulty curve wasn't too soul crushing. But aside from that, every other F-Zero game I've played, I'm just like the people are like, we want another F-Zero. I'm like, do you really? do you really? For real? But that's just me. Kenoshi, do you have another one where you're like, this is a good game, but this is a good developer, but the game they've made some terrible games.
Dark Cloud, it's not a terrible game. It's just too much going on. Dark Cloud 2.
Oh yeah,
the first one's better.
Oh yeah. There's too much stuff going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I really thought that mech thing was not handled the greatest.
It was a cool idea. It just wasn't well executed.
Yeah. It's like you need a separate fuel for your mech and not you needed certain enemies to fight with the mech, and it was hard to, especially at the beginning of the game, it was hard to get the necessary materials to sustain your mech. I'm just kind of like, I can't. I'm not, nah.
Like, why do I have to do all this just to...
Yeah.
Like, y'all are making this unnecessarily difficult.
Yeah. The mech should have been like a power up or something.
I mean, it just should have been
Like
better.
a
It should have been better
like
implemented.
it should have the mech just should have been like a cooldown,
That-
sort of as
Why do I have a
effect.
feeling that playing with that kind of game is like trying to do D&D in a mech suit?
I mean, it wasn't really like that. It just wasn't well implemented.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, this is a good idea. It's just not well implemented.
Yeah.
A lot of games are like that. Not every game is well implemented. But I agree, it was not. It was not well. It was not well implemented. That's kind of one of the flaws of. That's kind of one of the flaws of that series. Is like the first Dark Cloud is limited. Like it looks like it looks like what it is. It's an early PS2 game, and it looks like a really good N64 title.
Yeah.
But
That's what I was gonna say.
but like what it sets up to do, it does, like, all the gameplay systems work really well. The town building works well. The different characters work really well. Using each character's abilities works really well. They all play differently from one another, so you actually have to learn how to use them properly. All the fishing, like, everything works well. Then you get Dark Cloud 2, where the combat is very stylized. The two different characters, just like the mech, cool idea, but it's like the mech is so like, it's such a pain in the beginning of the game to grind to get the materials to upgrade your mech that it almost makes it not worth using. But if you play as your character, the guy who has the mech in the beginning, he sucks. Uh, the female character, who's the sword fighter, is great in the beginning of the game, but towards the end of the game, she becomes useless. Um, like, just Dark Cloud is just one of those games where it's like, man, this could have been so great. Now the irony about Dark Cloud is that there's an unofficial sequel for Dark Cloud called Rogue Galaxy, where they take everything they learned from those first two games and put it into Rogue Galaxy. And Rogue Galaxy is a great game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. And all the gameplay systems work really well together.
Yeah.
But damn if it doesn't, everything falls apart in that second game, Dark Cloud 2.
Yeah.
Dark Cloud 2 is just it's bad on so many levels. And I know some people are going to be like, but insert reason here why it's not really bad. But it is, though. It is. The second Dark Cloud is terrible. And it's not terrible because it's a bad game. It's terrible because there's all these disparate ideas that are just not very well executed. And that's where it just kind of falls apart a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But can't have everything. So so I guess it's my turn to talk about a game where I'm just like, this game is not very good compared to what it could be. guys have one where you're just like, this is just not as good as it could have been? Could have been better.
I mentioned mine already, and we went into a long topic about that.
Yeah. Because you got mad at other people's positions.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, Capcom has had a lot of misfires. Like I think Mega Man X should have ended. Like I think Mega Man X should have ended at like 5 or 6. I think once they tried to make it fully 3D, it kind of fell apart. Um, I mean, I think they should have done another Mega Man Battle Network. I think they should have because the thing is that Keiji Inafune left, and instead of Capcom just dealing with it, they just they got mad and threw a tantrum and just like tanked the entire
That's
franchise.
in Mega Man for a long while.
Yeah, they were like, oh well, this dude left, so we're just gonna get mad. I'm like, dude, what are you like 5?
I was going to say, that's worse than what Sega did with some of their games.
Yeah. But that's what they had essentially did. They were like whining and crying. I'm like, okay, so Keiji Inafune left. Why are you acting like a little baby about it?
Yeah.
Like, why whine and complain about it? That's all I'm saying. Like, why are you whining? Okay, yeah, fair enough. Okay, they canceled the whatever it is. Why are you whining and complaining about it? Like Keiji Inafune left. Keiji Inafune is not the arbiter
Mega Man.
of Mega Man. He's a guy who he's not even the guy who created Mega Man.
He's the one that did maintenance, basically.
Well, no, he was the art guy. He just made characters. The guy who created Mega Man was another guy.
I was saying that he did maintenance in a sense, like he's the one that maintained the series, as far as I know.
I guess, but it's just like, for real,
Have a crying fit like that?
y'all gonna whine and complain? How could they do that? Man, calm down, dude. Calm down. Stop whining and complaining about it. Okay, fair enough. I mean, that's the thing that kind of bothers me is that just people just get way too into
Certain things.
well, I mean, it's like Capcom basically got mad and rather than just friggin' deal with it cuz like here's the thing. People quit all the damn time.
Or retire.
Like why are you whining and complaining cuz somebody quit? And I get it, Keiji Inafune is not like the best guy ever or anything, but
For Star's sake, don't use one guy's leaving as a reason to ruin things.
yeah, they were like, well, okay, he left. Fuck it. You know what that's like? That's like your head chef leaves a restaurant and you just scrap the entire menu. Cuz like I said, like Keiji Inafune wasn't a programmer. He wasn't even a level designer. He was the art guy. And then he basically self-promoted himself into being the father of Mega Man, even though, like I said, he wasn't even the guy who created the franchise. He was the guy he was the art guy.
Yeah.
But, It's like, look, it's like, what's his name? I forgot the Hideki Kamiya said he's a good businessman. Actually, he's not a good businessman because, because like concept only like they had like these 5 or 6 games that they were working on, and only 2 of them came to fruition. So, you know, if you were a movie studio and you had 6 movies that you were working on, and only 2 of them came out, and none of those were really like barn burners, you'd be a failure. Because that's money that was spent to develop something that never made any money. Um, anyway, are there any other like good developers that you're like, man, this is a good developer slash publisher, but these games they released were trash?
Not that I can think of.
All right. Okay, then. So, with that being said, it's time to move on to the next topic, which is great platformers of the past. These are platformers that came out and you were just like, wow, this is actually surprisingly good.
Hmm.
And I guess I'm going to say this. Look, Nintendo, even a mediocre Nintendo platformer is better than most other companies' platformers. So I really don't want to, I don't want to make this just all Nintendo. Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario World, New Super Mario Brothers, New Super Mario Brothers U. Okay, look, okay,
Funny enough, I'm gonna say
all
this.
those games are good.
I was gonna say that besides Nintendo, the only other game platformer that I actually had a good experience with would be oddly Gex
The 2D Gex or the 3D Gex?
2D.
Yeah, yeah. I played the 2D Gex. I didn't think that was that good, but yeah,
It's
your opinion.
it's not it's not that it's not incredibly great. Like it's not Nintendo great, but it feels more solid than most of the others that I experienced.
All right, fair. I can name a ton of 16-bit platformers I think were pretty good. Ristar, great. Um, that was originally supposed to be the mascot follow up to Sonic the Hedgehog. But the people, it was like towards the end of the Genesis life cycle, and I was like, this game's gonna get buried. Um, what else? Bonk. I think Bonk was a pretty good platforming series. I think that Super Adventure Island is friggin' phenomenal. It's an early Super Nintendo game, but it is great. The music is done by Yuzo Koshiro. The platforming is great. The bosses are great. I mean, the game is just really well made. And if someone asked me, "Hey, man, what would you say is a great non Nintendo platformer, Nintendo made platformer that you could get?" You would be like, "This is frigging phenomenal." Super Adventure Island. Any of the Turrican games, like Super Turrican 2 on the SNES is great. Um, I mean, Super Contra, great platformer slash shooter. Um, I mean, I'm gonna cheat a little bit because this is Nintendo technically. The Donkey Kong Country series, um, the rare ones, not the retro ones. Um, what else are some good 2D platformers? Um, Zero the Kamikaze Squirrel, Spike McFang. Let's see what else. Plock. That's a 16-bit platformer. I mean, these are all 2D platformers because when I put the title placard in there, I was just kind of like, I was thinking of 2D platformers, but there's some good 3D ones too. Um, I mean, I would say Spyro 2 is better than Spyro 1 on a technical level.
I was
Um,
gonna say the Spyro Trilogy is a good one, though your miles may vary depending on which number you pick for top and bottom.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the first Spyro is kind of basic. I would say once you get to Spyro 2 and 3, they really start to push the hardware and what you could do in the series. Like the first Crash Bandicoot is kind of basic, but it gets better with like 2 and 3. Um, just like any other franchise. Like okay, like the original Super Mario Brothers on the NES is like in terms of games history is really important, but it's like one of the weaker entries in the 2D Mario franchise. Like there's better 2D Marios than Super Mario Brothers on the NES. I mean, hell, I mean even the sequel's better than the first game. And I'm not talking the Lost Levels. I mean the Super Mario 2 USA sequel that's actually a reskin of something else is better than the original Mario Brothers.
Doki.
Yeah, Doki Doki
If I
Panic.
got it right, yeah.
It's just it's just better. Like Super Mario Brothers 3 is better than the first game. Like the original Super Mario Brothers is important because of like the technical, like the game design aspects that it added to gaming. But in terms of being like a great 2D platformer, it's kind of basic. I mean, it's you know
I was about to say it's like watching evolution, right?
no. It's like, okay, I can praise the original Model T Ford because it's the first vehicle that was produced on an assembly line, which made it affordable to average consumers, that made an automobile affordable to average consumers. But if someone put a gun to my head and said, oh, that makes it the greatest car ever, I'm like, you're fucking insane. They're better vehicles. Like that's the issue. Like when people say like the original Super Mario Brothers is like one of the best games ever made, I'm like, you're insane. There are better games in that series than that game. Um you know,
I would say it's the most memorable, but it's not the best.
I don't even think it's the most memorable. I mean, I would say that for a lot of people, Super Mario Brothers 3 is more memorable because they made a movie to introduce that game. The Wizard.
The Wizard.
Yeah. I would say Super Mario World is more memorable because a lot of kids, that was their first Mario game because they didn't start with the NES, they started with the SNES, and that was a pack-in title for a lot of bundles for that system. Like Super Mario NES is important for the technical aspect of what it did for gaming, but in terms of like being the best in that series, nah, not really. Um, I mean, I'm gonna say that something's blasphemy. I don't think Kirby's Dream Land or Kirby's Adventure, either of those games, I don't think Kirby really hit its stride until the later half of its life cycle as a series. And from then it's pretty much been ups and downs because they couldn't work out a formula for Kirby that really worked in the 2D space because some of those 2D Kirby games are rough, like Kirby's Dreamland 2 and 3. Oh, those games are tough.
I was about to say Dreamland 3 especially.
I mean, the art style looks great, but the gameplay is just kind of
Rough.
slow. It's so slow.
Yeah, I was saying it's rough because some of the stuff you have to do is kind of not into that at all.
It's just really slow. It's just so damn slow. Um, and just for me, like going, like I remember what got me into Kirby. Like I had played Kirby on the Game Boy because someone would bring their Game Boy to school and I would play. They'd have Kirby's Adventure on it and I'd play it. I'm like, oh, this is nice. And then I played Kirby on the NES. I'm like, oh, this is nice too. I mean, I wouldn't go out of my and say it's like Kirby's Adventure on the NES is more impressive for what they were able to do as an end of life game for the NES. And like the cool shit they were able to get out of the hardware is really interesting versus the gameplay design of it. Like really,
I was about to say gameplay is really so simple it hurts.
I mean, it's not really like that because the Kirby games, the way they're designed is they're easy to get into, but then if you want to master
You
it
know,
and find
y-
all the other shit, it's like you have to be
yeah,
good in order to get all the other extra shit in a Kirby game and get all the little hidden
you're
exits
right.
and shit.
It's just that you're right. It's just that main thing. I almost thought about it as a precursor to Ballad Wonderland
You mean
and
Balin
how simple
Wonderland?
it is.
Well, what Balin
Yeah,
Wonderland was trying to do but failed at. That's basically what. But then, like for me, the Kirby game that basically kind of made me really a fan of Kirby was Kirby Superstar, and I was like, this game is fucking amazing. Just the amount of shit you could do in it, and then to go from that to Kirby's Dream Land 2 and Dream Land 3. Oh man, those games are just terrible, terrible games. They're terrible. Like all the rain, all this, all like all the different stuff you could do in Kirby's Superstar with the abilities and making creating a helper and the two player. And then you go to like Kirby Dreamland 2 and 3 and it's like this is just trash. It's really hard. Kirby's Golf, which is kind of, I know some people like that game. I'm
I was
like,
about to
eh.
say that's quite left field. Though, if anything, it's more out there than something like Kirby's Avalanche.
I mean, Kirby's Avalanche is like a puzzle. It's a Tetris clone, which doesn't really bother me. But I'm like,
I
whatever.
said I said golf is more out there than Avalanche. So take it as you will.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay for what it is. I'm not really like, oh my god, it's the best shit ever. It's like it's okay for what it is. But yeah, the 2D Kirby games just are kind of to me are just kind of like very hit or miss. Like I'm not really um
Yeah. Though, if anything, the later Kirby games at least gave you more to do. Though they still got that ease of feel to me.
all right. Some good news here. We have a new subscriber, Frederick Sandfire. Just subscribed. So
Okay, that's cool.
for those
Welcome
for
to the party.
our new subscriber, thank you for subscribing. So that being said, do I have any other great platformers of the past? Because we kind of went from 2D to 3D. I mean, like,
Then back to 2D.
I mean, you go to the NES. There's tons of like that Batman game on the NES that was made by Kimco. That's like a really good. Or sorry, Sunsoft. That's a really good platformer. Like like there was a time when there were third parties who took pride in making really fucking good games. Gunstar Heroes is a great shoot 'em up. Um, I already said Bonk. Joe and Mac. The Joe and Mac ports on the SNES are pretty good, aka Caveman Ninja.
Caveman Ninja. The
Yeah.
weirdest thing you'll probably ever hear.
Well,
At least next to Ninja Baseball
that's what they
Heroes.
called it in Japan, or sorry, Europe. They translated it as Caveman Ninja. I think in the US it's just Joe and Mac. Um, like if you go, like I've never seen a Joe and Mac arcade cabinet. I know it began as an arcade series. I think in Japan it's Caveman Ninja, and I think in America it was called Joe and Mac,
Yeah.
and I think in Europe it was called Caveman Ninja. So I don't know. But Joe and Mac was a pretty good platformer, and its unofficial third game in the series, Congo's Caper, um, which was always kind of fun to me. I know some people will disagree. Our next topic: complacency in gaming. Now, before we dive into it, I want to introduce it by just saying this. Recently, we've discovered that the Switch has outsold the Wii in terms of sales. Um, it's so it's over 100 million units sold, which is great. Kudos to Nintendo. But also like the Wii, those last 2 years of the Wii, the Switch has kind of hit that point where we're not getting a lot of first party games for it from Nintendo. Like one or two really big hitters here, and then like nothing. So basically, we're starting to hit that point. Like, are we entering an age of Nintendo complacency
I say
with this
iffy,
console?
but I was gonna say iffy, but likely.
Because Nintendo does is whenever they have a really successful gaming device, they start to get complacent in the latter half of that system's life cycle. Like we saw it with the Wii, we saw it with the DS, we saw it with the 3DS. Um, they didn't do that with the Wii U because the Wii U was struggling, but you know, we saw it with the SNES and the NES. You know, that complacency where it's like, we don't need to try that hard, we got it. So how do you guys feel about that? The complacency.
I don't think the complacency is necessarily as nearly as that bad. I think a lot of it, at least for me, since I started gaming on PC, I've been a little bit more picky about the kind of games that I play and the sort of expectations that I have.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't think it necessarily is bad as the well, in the court of public opinion, the complacency is not as bad as the Wii. Most people felt let down by the Wii until maybe the last couple of years. They felt like they were being ignored, and Nintendo was just mainly focusing on party games. Now, don't get me wrong, there were obviously games, there were gems on the Wii, but due to the court of public opinion, a lot of people didn't feel that way.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I also feel that I mean I think it doesn't feel as bad because the Switch has great third party support. So
Yeah.
it doesn't feel as
Slow-
like yeah,
slowish.
if all you have is a Switch, it doesn't feel as bad because there's other shit coming to the system. Nintendo isn't really forced to support the system because there's other shit coming to the system and plus indies. My issue is I have two current gen systems. I have an Xbox Series X and I have a Switch and I have a PC that can play current gen systems. So for me, like if I'm going to play a game on my Switch, I'm going to play it for first party games. And the dearth of first party games that interest me on the Switch is like I'm kind of like underwhelmed. So for me, it like the complacency is like, okay, so I just don't care at this point. But then again, I mean, I'm a different type of Nintendo gamer. Like, I like the niche. I like the weird, quirky third party and second party exclusives that take advantage of the hardware of a system. Like, I liked Zack and Wiki on the Wii. I liked Red Steel 2. I thought that was an amazing game on the Wii. I liked No More Heroes. Like I like games that really take advantage of the individual hardware of a system. And I mean, for better or for worse, Nintendo has really had some systems where if you really want to have a unique game experience, a developer had to really take advantage of the hardware's abilities. Yeah, which I like. I like that. I don't like just these lazy ass ports where they're just, well, we just threw that shit on there and people will play it.
Kind of like those what is it? Those online only console games that like the Kingdom Hearts ones.
No, I mean there's a lot of ports for the Switch where it's just a lazy ass port to the system, or even worse, it's just playing off the cloud, which is even worse than just like in some ways, playing off the cloud is worse than just a lazy ass port. Because at least with a lazy ass port, they did have to do some optimization for the hardware in order to get it to run in some way. When it's just, they didn't do anything interesting. It's even worse. So, but that's my own personal opinion. I know some people will disagree because opinions like assholes. Everyone has one. But for me, yeah, like the complacency has kind of just been kind of like, to me, the Switch is the worst with complacency because Nintendo has the money to actually like now, like when you have a system that's outsold, your highest selling console of all time, which was the Wii. Then now's the time when you have this huge audience to try and put out different types of games because you have the audience for it. I'm not saying everything has to be AAA, but double A, single A, yeah, now's the time because you have the audience for it. And we're not getting that. We're getting like very kind of basic. They missed the 40th anniversary of Donkey Kong, and they threw Link some crumbs for his anniversary. So it's just kind of like underwhelming. I am underwhelmed. But, like this upcoming year is the 30th anniversary for Kirby, I think. So if we're lucky, well, obviously this year we're having Kirby, that new Kirby, that 3D Kirby game coming out. So they're going to do something for Kirby.
Right near April, no less.
Yeah, they're going to do something for Kirby, but Donkey Kong didn't get shit. That's just sad, man. And Link got some crumbs. Here, have these crumbs. Here, take these crumbs. Yeah, I just the complacency is a little annoying. If all I had was a Switch, I'd be very upset with the level of complacency. But I don't have just a Switch, so But with that being said, I guess we can move on to free topic. Any topics you guys want to bring up before we move on to the next topic, which is the $13 billion. I almost said million, like Dr. Evil. $1 million.
Might have been a chill there.
Any free topics you guys want to bring up before we move on to the next topic? Anything you think we need to talk about that just hasn't been addressed in gaming?
Apparently, the controversy going on with
Phil Spencer.
No, not Phil Spencer. The controversy with crap. The controversy with Dying Light 2. Apparently, it takes like 20 hours to complete the game, and then it takes like 80 hours to finish the entire story, to get everything in the story, and it takes like 500 hours to, search through every nook and cranny. They kind of had to break it down.
Well, that's just that's ridiculous. If you have OCD, this game is not for you.
Yeah.
Now luckily, unfortunately, I have slight OCD, so yeah, I don't need to be playing Dying Light. So I don't know what to say. That's just how it is. Well, I guess I can insert the Phil Spencer controversy. Well, it's not really a controversy. Phil Spencer says that he wants people's banned list to follow them from console to console. So if you ban someone on the Xbox and that person also has that,
has a new console,
well, has that on the PlayStation, and you ban their ass on the Xbox, that ban should also carry over to the other console, like the PlayStation or the Switch. Although, I mean, there's no voice chat on the Switch, so you don't have to worry about that. I mean, there is voice chat, but you wouldn't want to use it. Yeah. I mean, some people got mad at him, but I'm like, I agree, because I'm saying this as someone who played Call of Duty on the Xbox. I didn't own an Xbox at the time.
I was gonna say, and I would agree with you on that, because if you hear some of the colorful language that are on current video games that have voice chat, I would say, if anything, give us the mute button and block button at the same time, so we could at least ignore some of these undelightful renegades.
Yeah, that's my issue. That's the thing. That's what I'm saying, is that, like, as someone who has had to listen to people while playing Call of Duty and Halo back in the day on the Xbox 360, describing how, like, little 12-year-old, 13-year-old kids telling me how they want to sleep with my mother, and my own personal, seeing people with call signs that are blatantly slightly using emoticons, versions of slurs and stuff like that. Like, it's like, if I ban your ass on the Xbox, and you also, a lot of these people are multi-console owners, I don't want your ass doing that shit to me on another console, following me around, especially if you're playing a popular title that's played across multiple platforms.
Or a cross-gen game, heavens forbid.
Yeah, or cross-gen, whatever. I think that's a fair assertion. And some people are saying, well, it's against my free speech. Look, this is not a free speech platform.
I was gonna make the joke that if you've seen Twitter with some of their recent bannings, you probably would get this too. That
this is not a free speech platform.
this is that if you do something stupid, people have the right to block you, to mute you, and the company has the right to kick you off the platform if you're doing something so stupid that actually hit their brand.
Now, if you go to a public library and you go to the librarian and you say, look, I'm researching X, Y, and Z, and it's materials that are considered not apropos for children, a lot of libraries, they will go back there and get the material for you. Why? Because a library is a public place, and they can't really say, no, you can't do that. If you have the right credentials, you can get it. Why? Because it's your legal right. And they can't, like, ban you from there for doing it. Now, if you are...
I was saying that's for private companies. I mean, what I said was for private companies.
Yeah. Private companies can ban your ass for whatever reason they want to, because it's a private business. If you came into one of my establishments and you started calling my employees the N-word and slurs for homosexual people of male or female persuasion,
or even try to hit on them and make them feel uncomfortable, Red has the authority to ban your rear end so fast that you'd be rocket launched out of the place.
My managers, my shift leader, they can all say, hey, you got to get the fuck out of here. And take a picture of you and put your picture. These are banned patrons. If they come in here, they need to get the fuck out. I can do that. Why? There's no free speech in business. If you're an employee and you say some stupid shit, a business can fire your ass and say, look, this person does not represent us. Why? Because it's not a free speech place. I don't know why these people, like, some people are like, this is a controversy, they shouldn't do this. It's a business. They can totally do that. I mean, a bigger issue should be, why for all these years was Xbox giving these huge multi-million-dollar contracts to Activision Blizzard for exclusivity for Call of Duty for X amount of months and DLC for X amount of months, for a corporation that was taking that money and essentially funding some really fucked up shit at their place of business. That's a bigger issue.
I will fully agree. Makes you wonder who who's putting money in their pockets.
Well, it's about money. All this shit's about money. It's always been about money. And
As I said, makes you wonder who puts money in their pockets.
I'm not against money, but
You
that's
have
what
to
it's
pay
about.
attention to what that money's
But
going.
the problem with these going back to the whole free speech platform thing, the problem is the double standards. They don't seem to be consistent with who gets to say what.
Well, that
So,
is true. It's not applied evenly across everything, but I mean, there's double standards in life. It's not fair, but there are okay, a man can say, "Yeah, man, I slept with 5 girls in the same night," and his boys will be like, "Yeah, bro." A woman could say the same thing. "I slept with 5 men in the same night," and men be like, "Bitch, you nasty." now, let's be fair. Both of these people are, "Yeah, bro," or both of these people are, "You a nasty motherfucker." You can't.
Yeah.
It's not right to say one person is, "Yeah, you the man," and the other person, "You a hoe." Either both people are hoes or both people get accolades.
Yeah.
Like and there's a double. I mean, there is a double standard, but there needs to be some type of consequences. And I mean, I think what a lot of people don't understand is that these are not public forums. Now, here's the thing: if the government stepped in and said, "Hey, we're making Facebook a public forum," then you'd have free speech protection. But then there would also be laws in place so that people couldn't put up blatant misinformation, and there would be people who literally had to go through and say, people said, "Hey, if you inject yourself with bleach, you can cure yourself from COVID." Yeah, that shit struck because that's bullshit. And if you say it again, we're gonna ban your ass. So I mean, that's the thing. If you don't want to be judged, don't say stupid shit in public forums. That's all I'm saying. Keep your bullshit to yourself. If you do that, then you don't have to worry about being judged. But most people can't do that because they have to open their mouths and say some stupid shit. Because stupid people can't help themselves from saying stupid shit. It's what they do. I don't know why stupid people have to say stupid shit, but it's what they do. They cannot help themselves. Anyway, anything you wanna add before we move on to the next topic?
No, I'm good.
All right. So we're on to our final topic, which is unpopular opinion. Or that should be it. Wait, let me take a look at the. Yes, unpopular opinion. No. It's the $13 billion Zynga thing. Yeah. I mean, they spent $13 billion to buy Zynga, and they just took a hit right after they announced it of 22% of their stock, which is millions of dollars. No, billions of dollars of Take-Two stock took a hit when they announced this.
And I'm just going to say this right now. That's kind of a bad thing when you buy a sinking ship and it starts to sink your ship.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I'm surprised because they overpaid for it. I keep on telling people this. They overpaid. Look, they overpaid. Like, if they had bought Zynga even 7 years ago, this might have been a fair and equitable. No, 10 years ago, it would have been a fair and equitable transaction. Zynga isn't even worth 13 billion right now. Zynga is maybe stretching it worth maybe 3 or 4 billion.
I thought it was about 5 billion if we're being generous.
No, because I mean, if you're a company buying something, you want to spend the least amount of money to acquire it, so then you can leverage what you bought to make more money off of it. And 5 million is too much. 5 million is when I bought the building for my third location
I
for
I get where you're coming from. I was saying that I thought that it would be that the generous that the generous quote unquote offer would be 5 million, but
no. Fuck
yeesh.
generosity. You trying to make money. Look.
Yeah,
I keep on telling you guys this. The essence of capitalism is this, okay? As
spend a
the
little to get the most money.
Yeah, as the person spending the money, I want to spend the least amount possible to acquire whatever it is I'm spending money on. The person who's selling it wants to get the most money of what they're selling. The selling point is where I pay the most I'm willing to pay and they lose the most money they're willing to lose in selling it to me. Or at least that's what I want as the person spending the money. Um, now if I was selling something, I want to make the most money possible on the sale, right?
Yeah, this is aka this is how the stock market works, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, that's just
Buy
business in
low,
general. It's business in
buy low
general.
to high.
Well, not really. Business in general. Capitalism is all about spending the most money, spending the least money possible to get the most of what you're trying to buy. Um, and as a seller, selling like however much money it takes for you to make a product or to provide a service, spending the least amount of money possible so that when you sell it, you make the most profit on what you sold. For example, like if you come to one of my locations and you buy a $20 meal, okay, I guarantee that meal probably costs me like $3 or $4 to make at the most. Probably less than that, like $2.50. So that's like $17, and let's say it's $3. That's $17 profit right there. Then you got to take away $5 for taxes for the business, and then the rest of it is everyone getting paid. The chef got paid his $4. The waiter got paid. I got paid because I own the
Everybody got
buildings.
everybody got their coin.
Everybody got paid, and that's a more of a fair, a fair because I paid the person who brought you the meal, the person who made the meal, and the owner. Everyone got paid. Now, most scummy businesses do something a little bit different. They basically shortchange the waiter, they shortchange the server, they shortchange the cook, um, and all the money goes to them. You know, and that's just
Mhm.
not. I'm not a believer in that. I'd rather pay the costs up front, and so they don't have to worry about it on the back end. But that's business. That's just business. It's
Yeah.
not right or wrong. It's just the way it is. But anyway, that being said, so what are your guys' thoughts on the Zynga acquisition? Do you think the 13 billion was fair? Um,
Huh.
do you think that are you in agreement with me that this shows the priorities of Take Two, that they spent $13 billion to buy this shit, and yet they didn't spend the money to get a good studio to make um, a re-release of a remake of the GTA 3D trilogy.
Yeah, it's baffling to me that they spent this much money on a uh,
Mobile developer.
mobile developer, but didn't spend that amount of money on their own legacy title that people really love and enjoy.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Huh.
where I'm kind of like,
Like
yeah,
who cares about Zanga?
yeah. Zynga hasn't had a hit in like over half a decade.
I thought it was a decade.
No, because a decade ago they had stuff like Mafia Wars and Farmville and stuff like that. Like there was like a period of like 2 or 3 years, let's say 3 years, where they had stuff that people cared about and Words with Friends, shit like that. And then they were overtaken by like shit like Angry Birds. You know? And there was a period of time for like 2 or 3 years where Angry Birds and Plants vs. Zombies and shit like that were the kings of the mobile space. And now it's something else. So my point behind all this is just to simply say this. They spent money on this shit, which did not work. You know, it was kind of over. They overpaid for it, but they couldn't spend money on their own shit. That's where, you know, that's where I'm like, y'all just all types of fucking up, aren't you?
I was about to say, you got priorities, wrong priorities, right?
Yeah, but
Because seriously, you paid 13 million.
billion,
If I got that right.
billion.
Okay, 13 billion.
Another 3 zeros and a comma. If it was 13 million, that'd be a wonderful deal for that would be a amazing deal for for Take Two.
Yeah, I stand corrected. 13 billion.
Yep.
When at best you probably made a 11 billion dollar difference if you put most of that money that you spend on Zynga into what should have been a remaster of your Warrior Legacy games.
I agree, but you know they're not going to do it.
Yeah, but if anything, it makes me wonder how the heck are you gonna get yourself out of this sinking ship when the last person that ran that boat also sunk that ship hard. And remember, this is the same. That ship was ran by the same guy that said, if you want to do offline, there's the Xbox 360.
Well, to be fair, he was only running it. He only ran that for like 4 or 5 years. Like what happened at Zynga is that they were starting to lose market share before Don Matrick took over. And that guy basically said, "Okay, the board is gonna force me out." So they think I'm not doing my job. I'm gonna put someone in place who's really not gonna do their job and show them how bad it could be. So he got his friend Don Matrick to take over. And as we all know, Don Matrick is just
He knows how to sink a ship, right?
let me put it this way. Don Matrick knows how to what should be an easy layup. Don Matrick is like someone who's saying, "Hey man, just do a layup." Now, anyone who's played basketball knows that a layup is the easiest shot you can make. You know, it's like if you can't make a layup, there's no hope for you on a basketball court. You need to go sit your ass down because you can't do shit. Well, Don Matrick
He somehow manages to screw up even the simplest of moves on a basketball court.
Don Matrick is the type of guy that if he tried to do a layup, he would not only fuck up the layup, he would jump in the air and crash into the media people at the end of the court and then into the crowd and maybe keep on going all the way into the exit into the locker room that's under there. Like Don Matrick is a fuck up, okay?
I was gonna say he fell so hard that he scores something for the other team.
I mean, no, because you have to in order to make the shot, you have to be good. He couldn't even do that. But that's Don Matrick, okay? So Don Matrick, like he would totally fuck up. He would totally fuck up. He would totally fuck up. Like he was like the reason the outgoing CEO got Don Matrick is because he wanted someone who was gonna fuck it up even more so that he could come back. Which is what happened. Don Matrick stepped in, fucked up Zynga even more. They lost even more market share, ran that company further into the ground. So then the new guy's like, hey, so my leadership wasn't that bad, was it? And they were like, yeah, come on back. So this new guy comes in, because he still has like, I think the guy who left and put Don Matrick in charge still has a huge amount of shares where he had voting control, or at least a large enough block that he could like put himself up there, which he did. And now like here's the thing. There is no mobile company, there's no mobile developer who's going to be able to hold on to the mobile market for a long period of time because shit's always changing. You know? Like Zynga tried by basically releasing all these different games so they'd have different revenue streams. But after a while, people get tired of that shit. They want something different. And so, like, you know, them getting this new guy in, I mean, the old guy back in, like, there was nothing he could do. So at this point, he just is going to sell he sold the company out to Take Two, and you know, I mean, look, listen, man. If someone told me they would buy my business for $13 billion, I'd take the money too. I mean, I'd take the money and I wouldn't say shit. I'd just sit in the corner and shut the fuck up. Because I mean, it's like if you bought a house that you know is a lemon, if you sold a house that you know is a lemon, but you made a lot of money off of it. I mean, are you really gonna protest that much? Getting when they sign the check and the money goes into your account? Are you really? But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna say shit. I'm gonna be like, yeah, it works. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with the house. The plumbing is perfect.
Yeah.
There's no leak in the basement. The roof is perfectly sound.
Water in the yeah. Wait until you have a full of water in your basement and your roof's ready to go to wear the domino.
Look, the only winners in this are the only winners are the people who have shares in Zynga. Damn it! I wish I had bought some Zynga shares because they were down. Damn it! 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 If I could have bought like maybe 100 shares of Zynga like a month ago, man, shit.
You were in the green.
Well, it would have been a nice little nest egg. I mean, not a nest egg. It would have been a good chunk of change. But, you know, because Zynga was down. Like, Zynga was losing a lot of money. But yeah. So, I mean, you know, it just, you know, like, I mean, the only people who made out big with this is Zynga. Because I don't think Take Two, I think Take Two in their head were probably sold, like, well, you know, Zynga has this huge market outreach has all this mobile outreach, like mobile market reach. But no one gives a shit about Zynga anymore. So I don't think that outreach really means that, because if it did, Zynga wouldn't have lost all that market share, you know? You know, it's like when someone says Nintendo, that means something. Zynga, it's like, hey man, this is made by Zynga. Like, I mean, the only thing we know about Zynga in terms of console gaming is that they're making that shitty ass free to play beat 'em up from Star Wars. But that's enough of that. Time to move on to Unpopular Opinion. Who wants to go first, and then we can wrap things up?
Since I'd say I kind of missed the time of mascot platformers, though some of them were great. Others makes you wish that they stuck in the past.
Actually, I gotta agree with you. I like the mascot platformers.
I said I miss mascot platformers, and some I would wish could come back, while others, well, they should have stayed in the past.
I think most of them were good. I think, I mean, like, because for every, like, Bubsy, you had shit like Zero, Ace the Acrobat, Zero the Kamikaze Squirrel, Artie Lightfoot, Ristar, Dynamite Hetty, Plock, Bonk.
Yeah, I get
Earthworm Jim. It's just they're like, for all the good ones are overshadowed by the shitty ones, like Bubsy. What could possibly go wrong? Everything, Bubsy. Everything could go wrong.
Yeah, the reason why I said that some should be brought back, while others should be left back in the past.
Okay, fair enough. Kenoshi, you have any unpopular opinions?
No, not this week.
All right, guess it's my turn. My unpopular opinion is this. I think that. Okay, this is gonna be unpopular, but I have a like. Once you hear my reasoning, you're probably either gonna see where I'm coming from and still disagree, or see where I'm coming from and come over to my side. Here it is. I think the congratulations for the Switch overtaking the Wii is premature because I don't. I think internally Nintendo treats the Switch like it's the successor to the 3DS. I don't see it as being the successor to their home console because, I mean, if you see a lot of the games that are coming to the Switch, even from Nintendo, like a lot of the games coming to the Switch feel like really nice 3DS games.
Mixed.
They don't feel like home console titles. Like even the Pokemon games, they feel like 3DS games. Like Metroid 5. It feels like a really nice 3DS game. Like a lot of the games just feel like 3DS games, like pretty 3DS games, but 3DS games. And I don't think they're spending like huge sums of money to get those to run on the, to optimize those games for the Switch, and pulling out all the stops or anything. And they shouldn't because Nintendo is they really know how to keep their games well budgeted so they don't lose money on them. But I mean, now if it outsells the DS, it's it's amazing. But I don't 155.
Hmm. Mixed, but I can
I
at
don't
least
see it.
see where I'm mixed, but I see where you're going with it.
But that's my opinion.
あちらです。
But so that's my unpopular opinion. I know some people will disagree. I don't really care if they disagree. It's my opinion. So anything you guys want to pimp out before we wrap things up?
Well, since I don't have anything, I might as well. If you if you if you keep up with this group, then we would thank you for watching and hope to see you Saturday or Tuesday, depending on which channel you're on, as we do Project Console and the BS Busters.
That's right. Kenoshi.
Kenoshi Abominito. Here to say check out Project Console 7:30 Tuesdays, 7:30 Eastern Times Tuesdays. Glad to be on another one of these BS Busters. See you guys on Saturday.
All right. This is Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor of BS Busters. Uh, yeah. We have BS Busters every Saturday and Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for joining us. Also, don't hesitate to join Kenoshi Abominito's cast that he has every Tuesday, 7:30 to normally 9, but sometimes he ends earlier, sometimes later. Project Console.
I like this.
Yeah, all these podcasts are great. Thank you for joining us, and have a good day. Peace.
Peace.
Responsibly.
Yes.